So this is the Aritco elevator supplied by HD Homelift, and we encountered some of these in one of our house tours, and we were so impressed that we decided to make a review of it. Or at least I'm gonna make a review of it. So let's get into it. Also bear with me because we are gonna get into the nitty-gritty. When you think of elevators, what instantly pops into your mind? Probably a small steel room that shakily goes up and down floors, usually found in malls, offices, or condominiums, right? Well, that still holds true for today's use, of course, but did you know that you can have smaller elevators for personal use in your homes? And yes, it could be a pretty small residential home as well. So needless to say, these elevators have gotten quite interesting, especially for home use. So you may not have a very clear picture of what these elevators might look like, and that's a good thing, because just as your homes are very custom to you, so are these elevators. These are Aritco Homelifts, or custom elevators. They come in a range of sizes from 0.63 meters at the narrowest to 2.1 meters at the widest, a maximum of around 15 meters in height, with various finishes and fun configurations. These elevators are built with a concealed screw-driven motor, which means less space requirements for the mechanism itself and no need for thick walls or a shaft to hide them. So they basically look like floating platforms rising behind clear glass. They look super sleek and modern, and they don't take up much physical or visual space, which reduces claustrophobia basically when you're in it. So I mentioned earlier that you don't need a shaft for this elevator, and that's because you can just build glass around it as an enclosure, and that doesn't take up much space. And because it's glass, it also doesn't make you feel like it's a smaller elevator, or it doesn't make you feel like you're in an enclosed space, even if technically you are, for safety reasons, obviously. And that being said, the feeling of riding these elevators, or as I mentioned earlier, platforms, is kind of surreal and really cool. For me, personally, I enjoyed it because it was quiet, it was smooth, and it felt like I was just rising up in this platform and going to a different floor. Now, for others who might be a little iffy about that, because it feels kind of weird, it feels like you're just rising in the air, right? Some of you might want something to hold on to, like a handle or a ledge, and certain models do provide that. But for me personally, I think it's really cool. It's something I can get used to easily. And as for the controls, they're very intuitive and they feel really nice. Like the knobs are actually very satisfying. They have really good feedback. They're somewhat clicky in a silent way. It's kind of hard to explain, but they feel very similar to how modern car shifters feel like. Very responsive, and you know where you're turning left or right, etc., and what have you. And it feels very sturdy. So depending on which model you could have the regular push buttons or a rotary or a knob. All of them feel very sleek and straight to the point and very satisfying to actually, or tactile to control. So visually, it's like you have these thin materials like the glass, the platform itself, the panels, but when you touch them, they feel very solid and they're really nice to the touch. And they come in different colors and textures. You could have glass, you could have wallpaper even. You can change the back panel, you can change the glass themselves, you can change the carpet, the one that you actually stand on. You can also change it into wood panel if you want. So it depends on what your home design is, and you can have the elevator fit that and match that. I don't think it'd take anyone much convincing that these elevators look really good, because they straight up do. But I know some of you might have some reservations about installing these in your home because, frankly, who wouldn't? It's still a piece of machinery that has its own set of problems and maintenance, and I hear you. So let's say the power goes out. What now? Thankfully, these have a 6-hour battery reserve that can safely get you out of the elevator itself. And with that long a backup, you can even use it to transport the rest of the family for an emergency evacuation. Of course, it'll run slower if it were running in its battery reserve, but slower is better than never, right? Okay, so suppose you're sold on the reliability of the elevator, but what about maintenance? Well, like any piece of machinery, you need to keep it running smoothly and have it checked periodically, much like owning a car. There are after-sale services available that come with preventive maintenance, so to speak, and emergency repair visits in case anything isn't up to your liking. And in case you're wondering, pricing is also very similar to owning a car, starting at 1.8 million pesos. As for cleaning and manual maintenance, I'm happy to report that there are safe and easy steps to be able to clean every nook and cranny on this thing without fearing you'll get stuck inside or worse, which is a very real fear for some people. There are all measures of safety and emergency contingencies for everything, including for when your drunk guest forces open a door and it stops working. Your service panel module and manual has you covered, and so does your smart lift app, which acts as a dashboard for you to know exactly what's going on and what needs to be done. Right, so let's say you want or need that smart lift in your home. How long will it take to install? Well, technically, installing it would only need about a week or two to finish. However,
how long did it take for you to install? It will only take 7 to 14 days.
That doesn't include the time talking about the design, getting it approved, having the parts shipped, and making sure your house is structurally ready to house the elevator. And that can take around 6 months from planning to installation. So keep that in mind when planning with a timeline. You'll also need a minimum amount of space to have specific models installed. And if you need certain customizations like a handrail, like I mentioned earlier, I know someone who was feeling a little queasy without being able to hold on to stuff, so he particularly needs a handle for it. You might need a slightly bigger allotment for a different model that allows for that customization. And for all the specifics, make sure you refer to the brochure, the website, or the links in the description below. To cap it off, you have a space-saving home lift option for your home that's highly customizable, easy to maintain, and has a ton of safety features, and is easy to integrate into your home and household routine. You can design your home lift now and see what it'll look like through their website. Again, links in the description. So whether it's a want or a need, it's good to know that we can have these perfect elevators for personal home use in any style, color, and configuration that we want. So imagine this. You could have an elevator behind a closet, and that elevator is going to lead you to a secret floor. Doesn't that sound super fun? But of course, again, for the need, maybe you have someone who needs an elevator to go up certain floors. You can also configure these to go up a specific floor, for example, from the ground floor straight up to the roof deck maybe. So it's very, very customizable. You can even, let's say design-wise, have one bigger passenger elevator right in the middle of your home. That way, every time you go up a floor, you can see the entire floor. That sounds pretty cool. So if that sounds really good to you, well, at least now you know it's a viable option. And I think it's pretty awesome that these are available to us now. I personally think it would be super cool to have an elevator lead to a secret room, but what would you use an elevator for? If you're interested to see house designs with these elevators, make sure you click right here. Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, make sure you click here. And if you want to see more house tour videos, click right here. And we also have this new thing called Working Lunch with Presello, where I and a few random people talk about a few random things related to real estate. So if you want to join in on the conversation, make sure you click right here.